We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Devin Haney he set up by Golden Boy Promotions. He is now facing Jose Ramirez. The fight is announced. It's a done deal. But was it a setup? In this video, that's what I want to talk about. Now, I know what some of you guys are thinking. What are you talking about, Ego? I'm glad you asked. Now, the whole thing that started this was an article that I seen from boxing reporter Lance Pugmire that caught my eye. It says, is Jose Ramirez, tagged him, a trap fight for Devin Haney? And he tagged him as well. So I seen that and it had me curious. So I decided to read the article. Now, I'm often imitated but never duplicated as the best in the business, and it's not even close. There's a lot of content creators who try to report the news or what's going on, a bunch of clickbait, low quality content where they won't even take the extra minute or two to read and make sure they're well versed with the content. And then they'll try to do content for clicks without really knowing what's going on. Me, I don't like to do that. I always inform myself so I know what I'm talking about. Don't just read a headline and then make a video about it, right? So be careful where you get your information. Anywho, this caught my eye, so I decided to research it further. And it reads, quote, obviously Eric Gomez, president at Golden Boy Promotions, being my promoter, he's not gonna say, hey, Jose Ramirez is a monster or Jose is a tough fight, because then maybe Bill Haney doesn't take this fight, Ramirez said. So if they had to play me down, emphasize my lack of performance in November, it's a poker game. They played their cards properly and got me to where I'm at now. What? Wow. So really, this is pretty interesting where Golden Boy president, it sounds like he had to downplay Jose Ramirez in fear that coming off of the Ryan Garcia performance, coming off that particular fight, how Devin looked, the lackluster performance, being hurt. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell icon so you don't miss a thing. Back to it. Golden Boy president Eric Gomez, it sounds like he had to downplay Jose Ramirez's threat level in fear that coming off the Ryan performance, the Haneys wouldn't have taken the fight and taken the opportunity if they came across too boastful and braggadocious and seemed like too much of a threat, which is very interesting because I didn't really know the behind the scenes as far as the negotiating, but now we're hearing it in this article that Ramirez is like, obviously Eric Gomez being my promoter, he's not going to say Jose's a monster, Jose's a tough fight. But now that's what people are saying. So it reminds me of the movie White Men Can't Jump with Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson. Very similar concept because Wesley Snipes, he meets Woody Harrelson's character, Billy Hoyle, right? Sidney Dean meets Billy Hoyle. And basically they stereotype Woody Harrelson. They think he's some white boy that can't hoop. And come to find out, Woody Harrelson's character is actually good at basketball. So it throws people for a loop. Stookie, you lost the money again? Foods that start with the letter Q. What is a quiche? So from that point, what they do is they end up running the courts because they know people are going to stereotype Woody Harrelson, think he can't play. And then lo and behold, he's actually good at basketball and he can play, right? So it's the same concept here, kind of like playing possum, the Billy Hoyle approach. You don't think he can hoop, you're going to stereotype him. You think he's food, and then you hoop and find out he's way better than you anticipated, right? That's kind of what it sounds like they did for Jose Ramirez. In order to secure the fight, they downplayed it and made it look like, you know, Jose Ramirez is coming off a bad performance with Barboza. He might be aging, and that let the guards down of the Haneys. Then it says, quote, once they got that contract signed, they called me and said, Jose, you're going to win. Get your butt in the gym already and get ready. This is a fight you can win that can change your life. Ramirez's promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, said when he was asked to supply an opponent for Devin Haney, Ramirez was the first fighter he considered. Quote, being a relentless volume puncher, he was the perfect fit, especially since Devin Haney was coming off getting beat up throughout the whole fight, De La Hoya said. I saw how Arnold Barboza versus Ramirez was, but I felt anyone would just look at it as a loss, not really looking at his style and his left hook, not really looking at how he performed before that, just the L. I'm sure Devin Haney is going to be very confident, but Jose Ramirez is going to give him a great fight. I really believe Devin Haney is a shell of himself coming off that bad loss and being off a year. You doubt yourself when you're gone that long, and the first time you get hit, it really hurts, says De La Hoya. And they tapped in with Jose Ramirez during a sparring session. He had 2 sparring sessions or whatever, and he was dismayed by his performance. He says, quote, I was relying too much on 1 or 2 punches during the middle rounds, knowing that I need repeat pressure to essentially defeat Devin Haney. I have to put them punches together. I'm more explosive now. My style of boxing is not about hurting them with 1 punch. The best version of me is going in and out, always being there to land, having that constant pressure, being fast, jab right to the body and head, said Ramirez. I can break anyone down. The article also shows Top Rank, who's worked with Devin Haney, people at Top Rank, Bruce Trampler and Brad Goodman, and what they had to say. It says, quote, we know Jose Ramirez is a mechanically sound guy, persistent, not flashy, in your face, but blue collar. Haney's a cipher, but if he wants to play at that level, this is who he has to beat. And he also says if Haney is mentally and physically unencumbered, then he's saying he could beat Ramirez. It's not like Jose's been looking good against Barboza or Rancis Bartholomew, Top Rank said, but it can be a very good fight if Jose has one last great fight in him, if he can out-hustle Haney and throw more punches, because Devin Haney has a safety-first style. He's a hard guy to catch. Then Jose Ramirez talked about Devin Haney suing. Ryan Garcia says the boxing world doesn't accept actions like that lawsuit after the fight. If he would have just taken the loss like a man, look at what Miguel Cotto did with Antonio Margarita. Cotto could have sued Margarito for using the illegal hand wraps, right? So he's saying that that was an L for Devin Haney. Instead, Cotto took the rematch, got his glory back, and so many more respected him for that. But I know it has to be tough on the father to watch his son go through something like that. I am a father myself. And Robert Garcia, the trainer of Jose Ramirez, says this fight happening for Jose Ramirez against Haney could be perfect timing for Jose. Jose also lost his last fight too, but fighting in Saudi, very little people, no one cheering, was pretty much like fighting in the pandemic bubble. Jose loves the crowd, the atmosphere, having his family around, so Times Square will be great for Jose, and he has the chance to pull it out. It's going to be full of Latinos and Mexicans. That's something else that could affect Haney and favor Jose Ramirez. Finally, the article, they ask Jose Ramirez if he agrees with De La Hoya saying that Devin Haney is basically shot since the Ryan Garcia fight. And Ramirez says, quote, one fight can break you. That's how boxing is. One fight can make you doubt yourself, become mentally weaker when you get hit. We'll find out on that night what he has, but I'm getting ready for the best version of Devin Haney. Truth be told, I'm getting ready for an undefeated Devin Haney, not coming off that Garcia fight. I want that version because I don't want any excuses. That's the guy I can beat. My job is to do what I have to do. And if he's not there mentally, good for me. Give me the fight they're planning for Haney. I want the glory. So he's basically saying looking past him. Interesting stuff. Now they're making it sound like Devin Haney got set up, you know, and technically I say set up loosely because if two fighters don't cheat and take performance enhancing drugs or banned substances or anything like that, then it's a fair fight if you agree to it. So when I say set up, I'm using the word loosely. I don't mean like something illegal. However, it sounds like they didn't show their hand. That's what I'm getting at. It sounds like they're looking at it like we needed to secure the fight with Devin Haney, and that's all we were trying to do. We were trying to lure him in, and once we got the fight, now they're feeling bodacious and they're feeling like we really could beat him. Like, just look at everybody involved on Ramirez's side. Oscar De La Hoya, he's done several interviews where he's kind of clowning Devin Haney, saying he's a shot fighter, won't be the same after the Ryan beatdown, says the Ryan rematch won't happen because Jose Ramirez will get in the way of that. So it makes you wonder, did they feel this way for real beforehand? And once the opportunity came across the desk, they were trying to put together this card, they offered up Jose Ramirez. Like, oh, don't worry about it, Devin. We got somebody for you. Because it's a good plan if this setup was true and they really think Jose Ramirez is going to beat Devin Haney. Here's why. Because Devin was probably going to be looking for a tune-up. In my opinion, I told you he needed a tune-up fight. And when this fight was first announced, that's kind of how I looked at it as. I'm like, this should be, even though Devin, I've always said that Devin's in between a rock and a hard place, I still looked at this fight as like Devin should beat Jose Ramirez, because Jose Ramirez, to me, he hasn't really looked great in recent fights at all. He didn't look good versus Josh Taylor a couple years ago. More recently, Rancis Bartholomew, he didn't look great. He arguably got dropped in that fight. Against his last opponent, he lost, Arnold Barboza. So for me, I was looking at this as like, this is a tune-up, but the people involved, maybe they're just talking, but they're making it like there's more than meets the eye. And at least on paper and what they're saying, they're sounding pretty confident in Jose Ramirez. Mikey Garcia did a recent interview. I made a video about it. And he was like, Devin picked the wrong fight. This is not going to end well for him. Then you also have people like Gabe Rosado, who's not directly connected to the Garcia camp. Like, he's not one of their fighters. He trained with Freddie Roach when he was fighting, things like that. So he's not even connected. And he said this was a bad stylistic matchup for Devin Haney. So they're making me want to see the fight. I mean, I already wanted to see the fight because I've said it from the beginning. Looking at how Devin looked versus Ryan and how that fight played out and the whole aftermath of it, it's real life question marks on how he's going to look in the future. Because I do believe certain fights can change you. Like, you look at Bermane Stiverne. After he fought Wilder the first time, he never really looked like the Bermane Stiverne pre-Wilder. Like, if you look at his fights that predated Wilder, looked a bit different. And some guys and some performances have that ability where you fight a David Benavidez, you fight guys like Errol Spence, you know, Triple G. When you fight these guys, like Kell Brook, after fighting Triple G and Errol Spence, I can't say he's honestly been the same fighter. He might have won some fights, but he don't look like the Kell Brook that fought predating Triple G and Errol Spence, the one that fought Sean Porter, at all. He looked much more put together. So boxing is fickle, and that's why you got to take it seriously, because at the end of the day, you never know how it's going to turn out, and you got to be on your P's and Q's and perform under the bright lights, because the moment you don't, people are going to look at you like food, or they're looking for vulnerabilities and inconsistencies, any flaws, any potential chinks in the armor. So definitely something to think about. Did they set up Devin Haney like the okie doke, playing possum, the rope-a-dope, and kind of rope-a-dope him into taking a fight with Jose Ramirez? And Jose Ramirez is going to be more difficult or stubborn than they expected. Because like I said, I'll be real with you, I watched recent Jose Ramirez performances, and I haven't been impressed for a while. So I wasn't looking into it deep, but as we get closer to the fight, a lot of people like Mikey Garcia and different people are speaking out like they are very confident. For me, I feel like I think it could be a difficult fight, but more so because of the punishment from the Ryan Garcia fight, right? If Devin is not mentally tough, if he has some form of PTSD, then and Ramirez shows up and is determined. The other interesting thing here for me is the fact that Ramirez is no longer fighting at 140, and this fight is said to take place at a catch weight of 144 pounds. So that is a different dynamic for both, because even though Devin Haney has rehydrated big in a lot of his fights, especially at 140, this is something different when you're actually moving up to 144 to campaign there and fight at 147 eventually. So the placement of weight on this particular fight becomes interesting as well. So ultimately we will see. It's only a few weeks away. Let me know what you guys think. Is this hyperbole, or do you think Jose Ramirez has a real shot at beating Devin Haney? Let me know in the comment section. For now, we unpacked. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that.